I love a good track saw. Regardless of the brand or the design of the track, at the end of the day, it guides a good saw blade down a perfectly straight line. There's a lot of woodworking technique and craft that is aimed at chasing a good straight cut, and a track saw just does it. The factory edge of a new piece of plywood is pretty nice, but when you use a track saw to give it a sharp reference edge, it's a good start to a project. The saw is easy to store and transport, but today I'm thinking about storing, moving, and handling the track. A quality track saw setup has multiple parts. You will certainly have one 50 to 60 inch track that lets you cross-cut a sheet of plywood. That's the bare minimum. And the next step above bare minimum is two tracks with a connector that combines them for a full rip cut down a 96 inch piece of plywood. You can store and transport your track saw guides with clips that mount them to the wall or a bag that contains and protects them. When we talk about protecting the tracks, we mean several things, but most importantly, we want to protect the zero clearance cutting strip. Keeping it in good shape maintains a precision measuring edge, protects the cut from tear out, and extends the service lifespan of the track. Any conversation about the cutting strip leads to the comparison of DeWalt tracks with their dual cutting strips compared to Festool, Makita, Bosch, Milwaukee, and everything else with only one cutting strip. All the other tracks can be transported on their rail with the cutting strip up safely. I wouldn't want to store a DeWalt track resting on either of its cutting strips, slowly bending, so it's probably best to use the rail or spine in the center of the track to store and support it. A while back, I made a storage and transport case for my short and medium DeWalt tracks. I put a central slot so that the cutting strips would float in space. The case worked great protection, but until I got the long track. So I started thinking about a track storage solution that would tick a bunch of boxes, carry multiple tracks safely, hold them by their center spine, and have nothing touching the cutting strip. I thrashed around with some designs that started from a box structure, but eventually stripped it down to a core frame that would hold my DeWalt tracks securely, protect the ends and edges, and carry my 46 and 59 inch tracks in a protected manner. The frame also has the capacity to hold the longer 102 inch track, albeit with less protection on the ends. The layered storage is adaptable, and the frame can stand on its own at the job site. Because the design work was pretty simple, I also threw together the plans for a caddy for the other flavor of track saw guides, Festool, Makita, etc. It doesn't need to carry the track by its center rail, so the retention mechanism is made a little simpler. But it will still carry two Festool 1400 rails at 55 inches long and one or two Festool 2700 rails at 106 inches long. The plans for this track saw caddy are up on the Dog Island Offcuts Etsy store, and the write-up for the build is up on the blog. Happy building.